Is America the greatest nation on earth? Some might respond, that's an arrogant question to even think about asking. Others might say, we used to be, but somehow America has lost its way. And so we are no longer the greatest nation on earth. The result? A rise in broken families and an unraveling of our society. What can people of faith do to help reverse this trend? To find out, let's talk with 5 authors we meet on the Internet and learn about the frontier of online ministry. We meet our first author in the living room, but as we enter, we notice at once that there is no one here. Imagine as if on cue from the hallway, a man enters to greet us, a man by the name of Robert Putnam. He is the author of Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community. The Internet is not about technology. It is not about information. It is about communication, people talking with each other, people exchanging email. The Internet is mass participation in fully bidirectional, uncensored mass communication. The Internet is a community of chronic communicators. Perhaps you're wondering, do people seeking spiritual truth use the Internet? Before Putnam can answer, the smell of coffee draws us to the kitchen. As we enter the kitchen, a man turns from the coffee pot to offer us a fresh brewed cup of coffee. Imagine that he is George Barna, the author of Growing Your Church from the Outside In. About 1/3 of the unchurched say that using the Internet has helped them to make and maintain friendships. About 2/3 of the unchurched who said this were under the age of 35, and 1/5 of unchurched adults noted that the Internet is a source of information they use regarding spirituality and matters of faith. After listening to Barna, you ask, so, is it time to adopt new methods to reach people using the Internet? Before he can respond, we hear a voice answer, it sure is, and to see why, come into the den. Walking into the den, we see a man in his early 30s sitting at a computer. Imagine this is Andrew Carrega, author of Evangelism, sharing the gospel online. He talks to us about how ministers and key church staff use the Internet. Carrega points out that most ministers use the net as a tool for research, but not as a place to build community. He argues that instead of talking about static websites as online ministry, we should talk about the dynamic conversations springing up all over the Internet, on blogs, in chat rooms, over instant messaging and social messaging groups, and on the various forums and Usenet groups. Looking at the assembled authors, you ask, so, if everyone is looking to find community on the Internet, how do we go about helping them do that? From the library, 2 voices respond to our question, and they say, we thought you'd never ask. We are welcomed into the library by 2 gentlemen whom we imagine to be John Hagel III and Arthur Armstrong. They are the co-authors of NetGain, Expanding Markets Through Virtual Communities, and begin to explain their concepts about building virtual communities online. The travel industry is essentially made up of a community of small groups. Some small groups like to travel on cruises, some like to go mountain climbing, while others like to go backpacking through Europe, staying at hostels and B&Bs. Each one is a community all to itself, but shares a common need to provide their members with air flight bookings, car rentals, hotel accommodations, and other services. These core services lie at the hub of a wheel, with the various travel communities forming spokes on that wheel, as you see in this image. Much like the travel industry image, different groups of what I'll call spiritual seekers hang out with like-minded people on social media in self-selecting groups on such websites as Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and others. They have their conversations amongst themselves, just like the unreached people groups scattered across the planet, where various missionaries go today. You and I can categorize them in a number of different ways, but the point is that they too form virtual communities like the people groups of the travel industry. What if we were to look at the challenge of redeeming the culture in the same way? What if we were to take the concept of doing ministry and apply it to the Internet? First, we'd need to have a plan and stick to it. Second, we'd need to learn how to use the iron of the culture. And third, we'd need to count the cost and prepare in advance for the task set in front of us. As a way of saying thank you for watching this video, please be sure to download my ebook, Finding Community, Creating Connections on the Frontier of Online Ministry.